Hey there, my name is Shreya and you're watching the Stitch by Shreya YouTube channel. Today I have a knitting podcast for you. I'm going to catch you up on the things I've been working on for the past month, a couple finished objects, a lot of works in progress, and some spinning updates. So stay tuned. So it's been about almost like 4 weeks since I last filmed, and so because of which I have a ton of things that I've been working on. I seem to have gotten myself in a test knit / a sample knit hole again, where I just have a lot that I'm working on. I think at the beginning of the year I was like, I'll test knit less, and then somewhere in the middle of the year I was like, the only way that I'm actually finishing projects is by having like actual tangible deadlines on them, because projects that I just have going on the side, they don't really have any deadlines, so I don't feel that sense of urgency to finish them. So when I have test knits, I'm like, okay, well, I have a deadline, I actually need to finish it. That's what's been kind of motivating me to work on some of these projects. Before I get into the finished objects, I wanted to first talk about what I'm wearing today. This is the Skyline Tee by Tori Yu. I knit this over the summer, so this is the second one I've knit actually. The first one I knit was for Selena from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. And I knit hers out of Pirouette. I think I have it here. This is her colorway Pirouette in the shade, this is Pirouette. It's like a pink base with little flecks of light blue, more of like a peachy pink, and then there's a little bit of like purple lavender colors throughout. And this is on her Regency Romance base, which is 50% superwash merino and 50% silk, 400 meters for 100 grams. So I made my first sample for her in this yarn. I had already purchased from her for the Bridgerton collection, and I bought the same base, so that Regency Romance base. And this is Diamond of the First Water, which is a very nice soft blue with a little bit of cream, with a little bit of sky blue, with a little bit of lavender as well. And due to the nature of the color, it's almost like it's a very subtly variegated color. Like, it is definitely variegated, but it's a lot more subtle than some of the other highly variegated things that you might be more familiar with when you think about variegated yarn. So this is about, I'll just stand up. I don't even know if I'm still in the frame, but I knit this a little bit longer than what Tori calls for. I think she does like about 9 inches from the underarm. That is like barely covering my chest. So I definitely had to lengthen it a little bit. I think I did 2 extra inches, and then I did ribbing. So it's still cropped on me. I have to wear this with high-waisted jeans, but the bottom hem goes a little bit below my belly button. So it works with most of my jeans and stuff. And other than that, I didn't do any modifications. I knit a size 5. Generally, I usually knit a size 4 because I have like a 42-inch bust. But when I tried on the sample I knit for Selena, which was a size 5, the fit was perfect. And I was like, why change something that's not broken? Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the same size for myself. So I made this. I think I started it in early July, and then I finished it the day before I took off her flock. Like, I think it took me almost like 6 to 7 weeks to finish it because I was just super busy in July with my work schedule. So I finished it the night before we had to leave for flock, and then I blocked it at our Airbnb at flock. But I got it done, which was the most important thing, because this was our group knit for flock this year. 2 of my friends had already test knit it, and then one of my other friends, she had finished it like a couple weeks before we had to leave. So I was the straggler, as usual, but it's fine. So I finished it, and that's what's most important, because this has been something that I wear super frequently. The silk content really makes it easy to wear in all seasons, and California, specifically the Bay Area, has had like the worst heat wave in the world this past, okay, not the world, I'm being dramatic, but it's October and we're in the hundreds still. This is absolutely unnecessary. So yeah, it's been a little bit uncomfortable. And we were chatting with some of our friends from Seattle on a FaceTime last week, and they were like, yeah, it's like 50s to 60s. And I was like, I could only wish it was 50 to 60 degrees here, because this 95, 100 degree weather is like not cutting it for me anymore. I need it to change now. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. Perfect for today's warm weather. And hopefully I'll be able to get a lot more wear out of it in the spring and summer next year as well. So I'm going to move on to finished objects now. I have 2 finished objects today. I think you've seen both of them from last week's episode. The first one that I have for you is my Hibernate Pullover. This is a pattern from Aimee Sher. I test knit this for them, and the test knit finished like early September, I think, and then they released the pattern. I think it's 2 weeks out now. So this is my Hibernate Pullover. I had a very stripy version that I absolutely love. Let me talk about the details of this pattern. So this is a V-neck Raglan, compound Raglan shaping, and it's charted as well. So you can just kind of charted in the sense where you can just check off which part of the Raglan instruction you're at. So it's pretty easy to stay on top of like your increases, which I find to be very confusing in compound Raglans because I don't do well with at the same time instructions. So Aimee made it super easy in that way. I decided to do a very fun stripy version, and I used 4 different stripe colors, and I used 1 mohair throughout the entire thing. So my first stripe up here at the very top is Woolly Knit Plata. Then this is Anzula. I think it's Squishy Fingering, and it is in the color Freesia. Then this one down here, this is from Knitted Wit. I don't remember the colorway name. It's like a French name for something flower. I'll put it on the screen. And then this bottom one is Holst Garn Super Soft in the color Charcoal. And then the cone that I used is something I got from an estate sale. It is just like a navy blue cone of mohair, and I just held it with the whole project. My stripes were 8 rows long each, and from the pattern to what I did, I think I increased the body like 1 or 2 stripe lengths, and then for the sleeves I did it to pattern because Aimee's sleeve length was graded for like full fingertips, which for me was just about where I wanted it to end here. So I didn't have to actually adjust the sleeve length this time, which was great. I think I used about, all the details for my yardage and stuff are on Ravelry, but since the body, I used freesia for the body ribbing, I think I only had like about 15 or 13 grams of that color left. That was a 100 gram skein, and then same with the Knitted Wit, it was like another 100 gram skein. And then the cones, for the Woolly Knit cone, I still have quite a bit left. And then for the Holst Garn Super Soft cone, I have quite a lot left. So yardages and all that, I can just put it up on the screen for you later. But yeah, that is this. And it's, and I use the Holst for the V-neck as well. I really like this one, but the mohair is like the itchiest thing ever. So I cannot wear this particular one next to skin, but that's not a problem because I would usually wear something underneath when I'm wearing mohair, because mohair is not like, I can wear it, but it does have a little bit of a prickliness for me. So I just deal with it because that's just, I don't care. I just wear it. And I have since destashed the mohair cone because I cannot see myself working with it again. I honestly should probably just destash my Holst cone too, because I am not really enjoying my knitting process with that particular colorway. I have another Holst cone in the colorway Almond, so I don't know, maybe I just need to wash, like I just need to skein up the remainder of the cone and then wash it, and then maybe it'll be a better knitting experience. The thing with Holst is that it has a lot of its spinning oils on it still, but I've knit with other cones, specifically from Woolly Knit, and I have never had such a difficult time knitting with it. I think the Holst cone in charcoal specifically has more spinning oil or it just is like rougher and it kind of hurts my wrists. I did notice during this project, especially when I was getting towards the end of the cuffs on the arms, that my wrists were starting to hurt quite a bit. So this was a project where I like really was just pushing myself towards the end. I'm glad it's done, and I ended up really loving the finished outcome of it. It's really cute, and I can see myself making this pattern multiple times. If you know Mia from Knit and Grace or Stephanie from Edible Thoughts Makes, they both made multiple in the testing period, and I think Stephanie has plans for more. So you should check out their channels because they have really beautiful roundups on this pattern. I have plans for another one, maybe not this season or in this year, maybe next year I'll do another one, but I really love V-neck sweaters. I think they are the most useful in my particular wardrobe. So I see myself making many more in the future. So yes, that is the Hibernate Pullover by Aimee Sher. And yeah, I'm a fan. I love it. Up next, I have another finished object. I finished these socks. So this yarn is Nomadic Yarns Self-Striping, and I think the colorway is Pillow Fight. I did not do a contrast heel, so you can see that my striping near the heel kind of has a funny little repeat, but I actually think it's kind of cute. And the colors for this remind me of like children's play blocks, like the things that you can use for blocking mats, but are typically used for like children's play areas because they're like foam. So that's what these colors kind of remind me of. I did not count the number of rows that I did for the foot or the heel. And because I was trying to make these socks like twins instead of sisters, I just kind of based it off of like, okay, I'm getting close to when I started decreasing for the first foot, so I'm going to start doing that for the second one. I think I might be like one row off on each one because you can see on this one, the toe has a little bit thicker of a blue stripe than this toe, but it's fine. They both still fit, and I'm just excited to have another pair of socks done. I started these ones on my trip to Flock this year. So I started them like the night before I left for Flock. And then I finished the first sock, not like maybe a couple days after I got back from Flock. And then I just picked up and finished the second one. Really, like I picked it up and finished it because I needed a small work project. And I just kind of cranked it out in like a week. So that's my other finished object. I love knitting socks. I just sometimes don't have like the momentum needed to get through the second sock. So I'm just really glad that I pushed myself to finish it and not have like a lingering sock whip. I think I have more lingering sleeves than I do socks. So it's just nice because I love wearing socks and I wear them to work a lot, and I have also worn through 2 pairs of socks at this point, and I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to darn them because some of them are quite worn, like there's just threads at this point. So I don't know if I should just darn them or if I should just not even bother anymore. So yeah, the solution is just make more socks so that I don't have to even think about repairing the old ones. I think that makes more sense. So yeah, that is my second FO. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about my whips. I have quite a few. I'm looking at them right now and it's a lot to talk about, but let's start getting through it. So last time I talked about this one, I was barely on the collar, and now I finished the body. I actually finished the body of this last night, but it is my Wayfarer Raglan. This is a pattern from Woodlands Knits, Liv, and she's putting out an updated version of the pattern, so this is technically like Wayfarer 2.0. So I finished the body last night, and I'm using Nutidin held double in the color Trotta. So that is this beautiful chocolate brown plate. It has a lot of vegetable matter in it, so I find myself picking vegetable matter out of the sweater and out of the yarn while I'm knitting with it, but I actually don't mind that at all. I find that to be very fun. I don't know if that's weird, but I enjoy picking out VM. I think it's fun. And so, yeah, I just finished the body. I did it to pattern. So one of the modifications I did was she gives 3 neckband options. And so I did the mock neck, but I think I made my mock neck a little bit too long because it kind of goes like up to here for me. So I'm covering the mic. It kind of just goes like up to my chin. And it looks kind of funny, to be honest, but I think I can just roll it a little bit on the inside if I need to, so it's not as bunched up. And then I did the body length to pattern, which I think was 12 and a half inches from the underarm, or 12 inches or something like that. And then I did 2 inches of ribbing. So that is this. The raglan was super easy. I think it's a little bit compound as well in some parts. And it fits super well so far. I'm gonna just pick up the sleeves and start chugging along on those this week. I'm planning to do them 2 at a time because I think it's just gives me more momentum to finish it. And I think this one I should try to finish it either this week or next week. The sleeves should be relatively quick. I can see myself kind of pushing through and getting done, especially now that the body is done. So that's this. Hopefully it'll be done by the next time we chat because the deadline for this is in like 2 weeks. So I need to really hustle if I want to get it done on time. So yeah, that is my Wayfarer raglan. This is like the second Wayfarer thing I have knit so far. The first one was the Wayfarer tee, which I knit last year as a test knit for her. And that one, it's like similar. It's another raglan t-shirt. I just really like it. And this particular pattern is just very straightforward, easy to follow, not a lot of fuss. So that's been really fun. Okay, up next, I have another test knit. This one is for Bridget Jo, beesybee knits on Instagram. And this is the biscuit slipover. This is a slipover that is knit flat, and then you seam it up at the end and do the finishing neckband afterwards. So I am working on the front panel and I have finished the body, basically. I need to start doing the underarm shaping and then the right front and the left front. And this is really fun. It's my first real brioche project. So it's syncopated brioche. So that's how you can see this like offset. And the yarn that I'm using is Pearl Soho Linen Quill held double. And this is the color Lychee Pink. I really love this one. I had no plans. I purchased it originally for like a half and half triangles wrap, but the other color that I was going to pair it with, it just didn't look nice together. So it had been sitting in my stash for quite a while. And now I'm excited because it's really creating the squishiest brioche fabric. I have one more skein of this, so hopefully this will be enough for the full slip over. I have quite a bit left, so I feel like I'll be able to get through the full front panel and then probably most of the back panel. So I am doing in between the crop and the full length. I think I knit my body, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 8 of the pattern repeat, and that's about 9 inches for me, maybe 9.5. And brioche does stretch as well, which is why it is a seamed project. I think Bridget intended for it to be seamed because she wanted it to have a little bit of that structure so that it wouldn't just stretch out and have like no structure whatsoever. So yeah, that's this one. It's really fun. I'm enjoying brioche a lot. I think I can see myself doing a lot more brioche-based projects in the future. And Bridget, as a designer, as well as how she runs her test knits, she's super on top of it. She works on videos to send videos of techniques. She responds really fast. It's just a really nice environment for a test knit specifically because she's just very, like, if any questions you have, she's like, yeah, I got you, I'll help you. So that's been really, really, really helpful as well, especially because I don't know what I'm doing half the time when it comes to brioche. So that's why this has been taking me quite a while because I really want to make sure I understand the instructions before I just dive in. And this has been really fun. So I'm knitting this on the size 4 for that pattern, and I'm knitting this on size 8 needles, 5mm. I did size up from Bridget's gauge, but I think Bridget is a loose knitter. So for me, this is perfect to hit her gauge. So yeah, this one is due sometime in November. I'd like to just get the front panel done and then start the back panel within the next couple of weeks. I do have some other test knits that are going that are due before that, but I think like just having a little bit of progress on it every single week will make it not feel like a big stretch and stressful knitting process at the end. I kind of did that with my Hibernate where I put it off long enough and then I was like, oh my God, I need to like hustle and get this done. So now I just want to like take my time, not stress out about deadlines, and finish everything in a pretty timely manner. So hopefully I'll have like the front panel and a little bit of the back started by the next time we chat. So now I also wanted to chat just for a quick brief moment on my turtle dove shawl. I have finished the first chart completely. I enjoyed doing it. I think I had like 12 or 15 rows left and I just knocked it out and finished it in like one night. It did take a little bit longer than I was expecting, but that's because it just keeps increasing towards the end. And so now it's halfway done and it'll decrease all the way down to the point. I have the instructions ready to go for when I have the energy and the brain space to really sit down and work through a chart. But this has been fun, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like ready for it to be done. It's been sitting for so long that it's just kind of feels more like a chore, but I am getting good practice at doing these traveling twisted rib sections and cables, and the cabling without a cable needle has been a little difficult for me on this project because I'm holding two strands together. I'm holding Pearl Toho linen quill, this is rose granite, with knitting for olive, and I think this is dusty rose. So I'm holding this together, and sometimes when I'm cabling without the cable needle, one of the stitches will drop or one of the strands will drop, and it's just a little bit of a finicky pickup. So I have been using a cable needle on the 3x3 cables, and then the 2x2 ones are a little bit easier for me to hold. So yeah, chart 2 is done. I'm not sure I'll be picking this up again by the time I podcast next, but if I do, I will talk about it, and if I don't, that's fine too. Also, my baubles are so ugly in this one. They look awful. They look like something I can't describe on YouTube. Yeah, that's where we're gonna leave it. Next, this one is a project I cast on between the last and this episode, and honestly, I am so excited about it. I wish I had the time to knit on it more, but I'm still surprised with the amount of progress I've gotten despite being busy with test knitting. So last time I talked about the pressed flower shawl, and I had a yarn combination that was actually pretty low contrast, and I was not very pleased with how the colors were starting to come up, so I frogged it. And I recast on my pressed flower shawl, but this time I used my hand spun, and it has been the most joyful, exciting experience to date. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. This is my pressed flower shawl so far. So the main color, the yellowy golden color that I'm using is Explorer Knits and Fiber in the shade Butternut, and this is on their Cashmere Caverns base. And then the contrast color, which is my hand spun, this is Nest Fiber Co. And it's on the Falkland Island Merino base in the colorway Sweet Pea. So if I remember, I'll post some of the photos of what my hand spun looked like before I wound it up into the cake. But I spun this up kind of like a fractal 2-ply. And as I'm knitting with it, I can definitely notice like the thick and thin bits, but I feel like this pattern in particular, because of the slip stitches, because of like the way that the texture works, it's really hard to like notice any inconsistencies. And you can start seeing like the color changes from like the pink at the top to the cool periwinkle, blue, tealy, mucky green. It's just so fun. It's so beautiful. And I keep wanting to do every flower row and keep on knitting more and more and more. So I've been just trying to do like a couple rows a day whenever I just feel like seeing some special joy come up on this shawl. I want to keep going. I want to finish this before the year is up, just because I'm truly understanding now the joy of working with your handspun. This is the first time I've ever knit with my handspun, and I'll show you some more of my handspun after I finish talking about all the knitting projects. But it's just been really, really beautiful and lovely, and like I get it now, because I think like I've been watching Ariel's podcast, Airy Knits, for so long, and she has knit so many projects with her handspun, and now every time she talks about it, I'm like, I get it now. I understand why it's just so much fun. So that's this. It's beautiful. We were originally going to knit it for our friend's wedding, and some of my friends are still doing it, but I think I just won't be able to finish in time due to my other commitments. But I do think I'll be able to finish it this year, because I'm just enjoying it a little bit too much. There's no such thing as too much enjoyment. And then the stitch markers I'm using are from Hello Lavender. Pretty much all the stitch markers on my project are Hello Lavender. I love Reshma's work. I love the colors. I love how dainty and delicate they are. So that's this. And I don't know if there are any other works in progress I was going to talk about. So maybe I will move on to upcoming plans and cast-ons. So I have a sample knit that I'm going to be working on for Little Fiber Co. And Lauren is amazing. Lauren is wonderful. And I am using the new base that she is bringing to her shop, I think later this year. I won't give you all the details about the base, but I can show you what color it is. It is the colorway Chiffon. And this is a swatch for the Ballard Pullover by Sari Nordlund. So I'm using Lauren's new base, which is like a woolen spun DK. And it really plumps up, and it is just a wonderful knitting experience so far. I plan to cast this on pretty soon. I think that's why I want to get my Wayfarer done really quickly, because once I finish that, I can just kind of start working on this one. So this is my swatch for the Ballard Pullover, and I think you can expect to see all of this in a pre-order if you're interested in these colors later this year or early next year. This is a colorway from February's Cookware Club, so you can go to Lauren's grid post if you're interested in seeing it again. But yeah, this is chiffon, and it's really beautiful. And the yarn itself, I can just kind of describe it as a plump and squishy and buoyant yarn that is just really, it has good stitch definition as well. It's very round, and if you are familiar with like woolen spun yarns, it has a lot of airiness to it. So I think you'll be pleased if you end up purchasing this. I think I will be definitely later in the future. I think I will be buying multiple sweater quantities of this yarn in the future, because it is just such a joy. The other swatch that I've been working on is a traveler hoodie swatch. So I am going to be holding woolly knit merino cone held double. I don't remember exactly what the colors are. I think it's like Tierra Nep brown. So it's like a tweedy color. It's a marled light brown and off-white with tweedy bits. I haven't even checked if I made gauge with this one, but we did a FaceTime with our friends from Seattle, and I just wanted to get the swatch done. If I need to do knitting math to get the right needle size and the right gauge, I will do that. But after I washed it, the bits that are not in the swatch, they have just plumped up so beautifully. So I think the merino cones from Woolly Knit I prefer to the British wool. The British wool has more colorways and is slightly cheaper, but the merino cones are just, they are nice. I decided to use cones again for my project because the yardage is ridiculous for the Traveler for the size 4, and I just don't have that already in my stash that's not in cones. So cones are a really economical way for those super high yardage projects. And yeah, I really enjoy this. I don't know if I'll cast this on until like late December, early January, but it's just nice to like get practice with the stitch pattern and to just see a combination of yarn that you really enjoy. So yeah, that's my traveler swatch. And I think that's everything knitting wise that I wanted to talk about this week. I don't think I've really worked on too much else. So yeah, it feels really good. It feels like I've been in the groove of things and I'm just really enjoying productivity lately. Oh my gosh, I did forget about one. Here we go. It's right next to me and I forgot about it. Okay, this is the last one that I'll talk about. This is a test knit for Lily Kate Makes. This is the 1703 sweater or pullover, and I am using, again, I'm using a cone. So this is woolly knit in the color cinnamon brown. This is the British wool. And then I'm holding 2 skeins of fingering weight with it. So this is a very chunky knit. This is from Suki Mountain. I think they're on Etsy, and it's the colorway Calcifer. Like, I think it's from one of the Studio Ghibli films, but it's like a really lovely reddish, orange, yellow, a very autumnal color. And I decided to make it, you know, the most autumnal sweater ever. And since it's so stinking hot, I don't need this right now. I can wear it until like November probably. But yeah, I have started the back panel. I think I started this like 2 or 3 days ago and I got all of this done. You can see a bit of like color pooling right here, but I have decided I'm not going to care about color pooling. I just want to knit and just enjoy and just see what happens because I'm already holding 3 strands of yarn together and I can't imagine alternating even more than this. So this is just what it is. And then this is a pretty chunky weight sweater. I got gauge with 3 strands of fingering, but people have been holding like 4 strands of mohair or DK and 2 mohair or like making a lot of different combinations. So this is something where you could just play with color and have a lot of fun with it. The construction, I couldn't even tell you right now because I haven't read that far into the pattern, but I think it is interesting, but fun and easy and just kind of potato chippy. So that is this. I'm hoping to get the back panel and the yoke done. It literally, I feel like I haven't even knit on this because it's just been so fast. Every time I work on it, I get like 10 or 15 rows done and it's like 5 inches or something. It's like really fast. So that is the last thing that I've been working on. And this is due around the same time as Bridget's test. So I'm just hoping to kind of hammer both of these out around the same time and just let myself enjoy the rest of the year. So I have those. I have another planned cast on, but the yarn is somewhere else. And that one's also another chunky knit, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I'll cast on Ballard as soon as one of these tests are done, probably Wayfarer. So yeah, that's it for the knitting stuff today. Sorry about that quick aside about the Lily Kate test, but I forgot about it. So now I want to talk about spinning. I started spinning last December and I started with my Ashford e-spinner. I got that for Christmas from my husband and I had a really tough time initially spinning on it. Now I would like to say I'm a confident beginner still. I don't think I can be very consistent still with my spinning, but I try my best. I try to be as consistent as possible. And yeah, let me just go through some of the yarns that I have made in the past couple months. So this is like the first like project that I really tried to spin for. It's not perfect. It's not even good. It's almost like rope, but this is a Jacob natural humbug is what they call it. I got this from beesybee fibers on Etsy and I overspun it like crazy. I think you can see like the pigtails and everything on it, but I did 8 ounces and I tried to do a 3-ply and it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you, like finishing this was hard, plying it together was hard. I overspun it like crazy. So I think what I'm gonna do eventually is wind it up into a cake, run it through my e-spinner again in the opposite direction to try to remove some of the overspinning. I also just don't care that much because I did it for the experience of spinning. I didn't do it to necessarily create a yarn that I wanted to use for knitting. So it's there. I don't necessarily think I'll ever knit with it, but if I do feel like I really want to work with it, then I will do what I said, which is like run it through my e-spinner, remove some of the twist, and then reskein it up. It's a 3-ply. Some bits are super, super, super thick. Some bits are really thin. I think I've gotten a little bit better at understanding twist since this skein. After that, I decided to do a cute little Polworth spin. So this is from Jakira Farms. I call it my Easter egg spin. It has little peachy pastel bits. It's just pastel all throughout. Even this one, as I'm looking at it, it has quite a lot of pigtails in it still. It's cute and it's one of my more consistent spins, but it's almost still like rope. Like it's not super plump. So I think after I finished this one, I was like, let me try not to overspin my singles as much. Maybe it would be better if I had it slightly underspun so I could have that nice round plump looking yarn. But the light just changed, so hopefully the colors don't get blown out too much. I enjoyed this one. I still don't know if I would knit with this one necessarily, but it's nice to have. And I would say I hit like a light fingering or like a fingering in this one. And Polworth was really fun to spin up as well. After that, I decided to do Tour de Fleece. And this is Little Fiber Co. Mystery Club cookware. I used the label to just when I reskeined it. And this is in the colorway Cerise. It is Coriadale. And I was able to hit 24 wraps per inch. And this is about 410 yards pre-washing. And my child's awake. And I did like a short backward drafting method. This one I really like. I definitely will knit with this eventually. I was thinking of doing an accessory for this, like a hat, or I would do like one of those neck scarves because it's pretty, the Coriadale is nice and next to skin. So that was the next one I did. And this one I finished in about 4 weeks, which was fun. I can spin faster now. It's just that plying for me, I think I can do it in like a day, not even a day. I think I can do it in an hour, but plying sometimes takes an entire day for me. So I was just sitting on the singles for a really long time, even though I finished the spinning in like a week. So that's this. Then this is yarn that I made out of a bat. So my friend Sharon, she has a drum carder and she made this beautiful 50-gram bat for me. It is like purple and it had some bits of like sari silk throughout. I actually spun the whole bat in one day and then I chain plied it. This is probably one of my most consistent chain plies to date. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. I spun this one on my Lendrum double treadle, which I purchased earlier this year through a D-stash. This made me realize that I love long draw. I love spinning from bats. I just think it's the most addicting and fun experience. And I also really enjoyed chain plying, even though you have to kind of like keep moving your hands and have your hands in a very specific way of doing it. And it can get kind of fiddly. I still really enjoy doing chain ply. So that's this. It's 50 grams. I don't know the yardage. I think I wrote it down on my Ravelry, but even if I didn't, it's fine. But I don't know what I'm going to make with this either. So that's that. I have a whole bunch of singles. I don't want to go too in depth with them, but these are all things I've spun with my spindles. So these three I did on support spindle. And this is the first support spindle one I did. And that one was really fun. It was like a combed top that Sharon dyed. And I was just practicing with it on my, sorry if you can hear babbling. This is what I just practiced with on my Enid Ashcroft spindle. And then these two, I don't remember which spindle I used, but I think one of them was a Woodland Handcraft. And I think this one was from Kravelli Spindles. And this one was like fiber that Sharon had prepped and given to us. This one I did on my Lendrum double treadle. It's about an ounce and I chain plied this one. This was like good chain ply practice. It's like gray base with like a greenish yellow dye on top. And then this one is, I think, a BFL or a merino. And I did this with one of my Turkish drop spindles. and that one is really fun. And this one was actually the first one I finished on my Turkish drop spindle, which was fiber from Sharon as well. So, and I finished these two on a drop spindle as well. Like I plied them with the drop spindle. These guys I plied using either my e-spinner or my wheel. So yeah, that was really fun. It's nice to have all these minis. I think what I will do is I'll just incorporate them as like contrast stripes on the legs of socks, or I'll use them as cuffs. Not like the heel or the toe necessarily, but the part of the sock that is not touching the ground. I think that'd be a really fun way to eventually use these. So yeah, that's pretty much all the finished yarn that I have made so far. I have some other stuff, but it's just so ugly that I'm keeping it for my wall, like my pegboard, but I'm not keeping it for like purpose of actually knitting with it. I'm currently working on 3 different spins, 2 on my spindles, 1 on my e-spinner, and then I need to start a wheel spin as well. But I've just not really had as much mental space or like energy to decide like what my next spin is going to be, since I just have so many knitting projects that I'm working on. So yeah, that's it for today. A little bit of a quick one again, but I think these quick episodes are a little bit easier to kind of stay on top of, because yeah, it's just with the way that life is right now, I don't have the most consistent schedule. I can only really film during naps because I am still working and evenings are busy with my job. So this is what it is today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I hope to be back in the next 3 to 4 weeks with some more finished objects. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Da, da, da.